Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be a part 2 to my gardening series. In the first part I showed you how to harvest herbs from your garden, and in this part I'm going to show you how to dry out and preserve those herbs. I'm also going to start doing shout outs in every video. So if you want me to shout out your channel, you got to do 3 things. First, subscribe to my channel, then like this video, and leave me a comment down below saying shout out my channel. Today's shout out goes to Always Amina. She has been consistently supporting my channel, so I'm gonna leave a link to her channel down below and you guys can check her out if you want. Alright, let's get into the video. So I'm gonna start by collecting my herbs just like I showed you guys in my last video. Okay, so I just got some dill and some thyme. So of course you're gonna wanna start by washing them off just to get off that extra dirt that might have gotten on them. Okay, I'm gonna let you in on a secret. You might see people around using twine or some other kind of string to hold together their herbs. I use tooth floss. It might seem really weird, but I found that since it's so thin, it holds together the herbs really well, as opposed to something like twine, which is really bulky and your herbs might start to slip out. Listen, that's just me. I have found that it works the best. Okay, I hope this angle is okay for you to see what I'm doing. But I'm just gonna start by gathering together all the stems that I've cut off. And I'm getting them all into one bunch. And then I'm gonna take my tooth floss, again, you know, use what you wanna use, but this works for me. And I'm just gonna tie together this bunch of herbs. You see how nicely that ties together with the tooth floss? It just wouldn't work like that with twine. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing with my dill. So now you're gonna wanna take these and tie them in front of a window. So if you have little curtain strings hanging down beside your window, tie them onto one of those so that the sun can come in and dry them out. Some people choose to dry out their herbs in the oven, but I just prefer to do it this way because it's a lot safer. You know, I don't have to worry about them burning in the oven, don't have to clean any extra pans, and honestly, it looks kind of cute with herbs hanging at the side of your window. So it's kind of aesthetic, you know? Okay, so I've had a bunch of herbs here drying out for over a week. I'm just gonna show you what I do with them once they're dried out. Okay, so let's start with the dill. This one's really simple. This is the jar of dill that I've been collecting. When you get your dill nice and dry, it crumbles so easily in your fingers. So I'm literally just gonna take it off and crumble it into my jar. It's that simple. Okay, so next I'm showing you this thyme that I've dried out. It's the same thing as the dill, except it just doesn't get quite as crumbly as the dill, so you might have to work a little harder to get it into those little pieces. Taking it off the stem and crumbling it into the jar. You want to make sure your thyme is super dry before you start this. And if not, just leave it up there hanging for a few more days and it should be good to go. So some people do use a type of like mortar and pestle type thing, but not everyone has one of those lying around. So I'm going to show you what to do when you don't have those fancy tools. Okay, so once I've crumbled it into the jar, if I see any leaves that are a bit too big, I just go in with my scissors and chop them up. So moving on to the parsley, you can essentially do the same technique for all of the herbs in your garden. Use your fingers, and whatever doesn't get crumbled down the way you like it, go in with the scissors. And again, if you want, you can go ahead and invest in a mortar and pestle. It's probably a really good idea, actually. But if you have herbs that you want to chop up right now and you don't have one of those, this is the way to go. This is our second year gardening, so we're learning. We're always learning. Don't know everything yet. Like I said, this is just what works for me. If you guys know another way of doing it, go ahead and do that, but I'm just showing you how I have been able to do this through my gardening journey. So yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna do the same thing with my rosemary that I've dried out and my oregano that I've dried out. This oregano is nice and crumbly. Okay, so next I want to show you what I have chosen to do with my green onions and basil. I'm not drying them out. I love having fresh basil. It's just so delicious. You can put basil on a lot of different things. So instead of drying out my basil, I have been freezing it. I found that basil freezes really well. It's so thin, so it freezes really fast. And when you want to defrost them, it really works just as well as fresh basil because they just freeze so fast. And then you can use them for whatever you want. You can use them as a fresh garnish. You can save up your basil and make your own homemade pesto. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take my Ziploc bag and save my basil leaves in there. So now I'm taking you over to my green onions. So it has been probably about 2 weeks since I've harvested any green onions, so mine are really long right now. It looks like it's getting little onion seeds right at the top, so these were probably about to die, so good thing I cut them off when I did. So I'm gonna run inside and wash these really quick. So my green onion is another thing that I like to chop up and freeze instead of drying them out. You could definitely dry these out and then use them in a similar way that you would use dried chives, but I like to chop them up and use them as a fresh garnish. Okay guys, so that was the video. I really hope you enjoyed it and I hope that you found it helpful. Let me know if you did find it helpful and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!